taking myself off.
Hello, and welcome to this webinar series on doing business in Guyana with GuyanaBusiness.com. It's Guyana's premier global business community. So today's webinar is all about setting up business operations in the country, and this includes looking at the way how you would manage things in your operations, such as how you keep track of things like revenue, how you manage people, processes, and technology. The webinar series originally started out as being a series which is dedicated to helping companies understand what they needed to do in order to set up their companies and start running them in the country. So webinar one was all about how you would start your business over there, which included things like ideation and research. Webinar two was all about planning your business trips. So this included things like looking at things like business culture and trade connections. Webinar three was then all about setting up a new company. So this considered aspects such as inception and the legal frameworks that you'd need to adopt. And then finally, webinar four, or the last one, was all about getting a business bank account. So how you would get that account set up and how you would manage things like your financial transactions. Now, this final webinar is all about operations. So if, just in case you've missed any of them previously, you can catch all of them on our YouTube channel. Literally, you go to youtube.com and you just type in GuyanaBusiness.com and you will find all of the additional webinars that we've done previously. So without further ado, let me go straight to it and introduce myself again. So my name is Robert Lee, and I'm the founder and owner of Reyes Group, GuyanaBusiness.com, and Gateway Guyana Holdings Incorporated. Reyes Group and GuyanaBusiness.com are based in the UK, and Gateway Guyana Holdings is based in Guyana. Now, a few weeks ago, we were pleased to be recertified again to ISO 9001:2015, where we met the compliance with the standard with zero nonconformities and also zero opportunities for improvement with our assessment audit undertaken in person by auditors from the British Standards Institution, also known as BSI. Now, incidentally, BSI was the original global standards body, and it was established way back in 1901 to develop standardization in engineering. And then they went on to develop the subsequent British standard 5750, and I think I'm getting this right, Dawn, with my Wikipedia search, which is which the International Standards Organization, which is called ISO, then later adopted. And they used it as the foundation for the modern day ISO 9001 quality management system that we're going to be discussing today. And joining us today is Dawn Banner. And Dawn, if everyone a wave.
Hi.
And Dawn used to be employed at BSI as a quality, health and safety and environmental management systems auditor with the company. And now today she's become so much of an expert that she actually goes back and she trains BSI auditors. She currently works for the likes of the Society for Motor Manufacturers and Traders in the UK, which is called the SMMT, and they're the UK's global oversight body for automotive manufacturing and supply chain management. And Industry Forum, which is part of the SMMT, is their training arm where she trains their auditors. And I've got to tell you, it really is a big deal because no car, or I suspect any kind of vehicle with any of the big OEMs like Ford, Nissan, Toyota, Mercedes, BMW, etc., none of those can be manufactured without compliance by the suppliers in the supply chain to these automotive standards. So they're very, very important. So, incidentally, Dawn also consults and advising clients on how best to adopt and manage their management systems, including in things like ISO 45001, which is health and safety, ISO 14001, which is all about environmental management. And in your spare time, Dawn, I think you also run a pub, right? And
Yeah.
and I know you that you definitely pull a mean pint of Guinness, so I'm sure, yeah. I'm looking forward to the day when I actually get to sample that too. Um, we're also joined by Candice Fraser, who is the QHSE lead for Guysons Oil and Gas, Logistics and Services Incorporated, and Guysons Engineering. Now, Candice heads up their management system for ISO 9001 2015, which is currently registered with NSF ISR. Um, and today, unfortunately, we were meant to have my good friend Faisal Khan, who is the CEO of Guysons Group of Companies. Um, Faisal, if he was here, because unfortunately he had to he had to head into a meeting. Was it, Candice?
And I'm meeting with Exxon on a project that we're currently working on.
Right. So, of course, I mean, and ExxonMobil are a pretty big deal basically in Guyana right now because of all of the oil and gas um, uh, that's taking place over there right now in terms of that industry. So Faisal actually led the formation of Guysons Oil and Gas back in 2017 and supporting ExxonMobil operations locally in Guyana. And then in 2018, he then led Guysons to become Guyana's first ISO 9001 certified oil field service company. And of course, this quality management system basically helped to position Geissens to become directly contracted to ExxonMobil. Am I right in saying all of this, Candice?
Yes, you're correct.
Perfect. Um, so also in 2020 as well, Geisen started partnering with KB Industries that are who are based out in Louisiana, and they created Geisens K and B Industries, an OCTG premium accessory and turnkey manufacturing operation, again to support ExxonMobil in Guyana. And then in
Correct.
2022, with the government of Guyana announcing expansion plans and to develop 25 acres of land, they refurbed an unused 100,000 square foot facility in it's an area called Enmore, which is a sugar estate in Guyana, right?
Correct also.
Okay,
Yeah, we
and
have a lot going on here.
I bet, and that's why you need this management system, right? Um,
Yes, we
and
do.
and and if Faisal wasn't busy enough, he's also the chairman of the British Chamber of Commerce in Guyana. So in his spare time, I know he does lots of other cool stuff as well with things like grassroots football and stuff in Georgetown. But to be honest, I don't know where he finds the time. So there we go. Last but not least, of course, we also have Fiazi Baksh. And Fiazi works for our companies, and she is our digital cloud solutions architect. She's also our Google trained senior developer for Google Workspace solutions, apps, and software. And she's been instrumental in helping us to develop our bespoke modular management system software that helps us to pass our recent ISO 9001 audit effortlessly. And she also happens to be our ISO 9001 internal auditor as well. In her spare time, she also loves doing cool stuff like with 3D printers and I think even building and developing out robots, right, Fiazi?
Yes.
Wow.
So yeah, I feel definitely yeah, I feel like I need to have these other kinds of extracurricular activities going on. Um, so let me move on to Guyana and the reason why we're here today. So Guyana's had the highest GDP growth in the world last year. I think it was about 44%. It has been the country with the highest GDP growth for the last 4 years running. And the IMF, the International Monetary Fund statement in March this year, also placed the economy to grow by about 14% every year for the next 5 years. Now, if you contrast that again with what your business bank account will potentially earn, I think in the UK it's around about 4.3-ish% if you look for one of the better ones, or in the US I think you can get up to about 4%. I think you would agree that the smart money is to do something with your money and potentially invest it in Guyana. So managing business operations with ISO 9001. Today we're going to talk about how you would do that operationally, and we're going to cover off a whole bunch of things a little bit later on where we talk about how you do it with things like revenue, people, process, and technology. And to kick us off, Dawn will now talk to you a bit more about ISO 9001. Um, Dawn, are you there?
I am. I'm here.
Perfect. So, Dawn, just to let you know as well, with what's happening in the country right now, of course, there's a massive growing demand for quality assurance. And of course, it's mostly driven by the oil and gas and things like exports, which are as a result of that industry booming. Um, ISO 9001 is now a key business growth enabler, and it's also helping for companies to access things like global opportunities as well. It's also extremely operationally important for revenue, people, process, and technology. And today, Donna is going to tell you a lot more about how and why ISO 9001 works that way. So over to you, Dawn.
Okay. Thanks, Rob. Okay. So we're going to have a little overview of ISO 9001. So starting off with what is ISO 9001, that's really important, isn't it? So it's a quality management standard. So this actually provides you with the ability to benchmark your management system against other management systems across the world. So it's guiding organizations to have this structured process so that everybody is working to the same kind of rules. We're also looking at meeting customer and regulatory needs as well. So the standard provides that framework to allow us to be consistent in what we're actually offering, both to the customers and to the government, and any compliance with legislation as well. There's a big focus in ISO 9001 about continuous improvement. As we know in business, if we stand still, we very soon get left behind. So it's really important that we have this focus on continual improvement of our processes. And that is a big part of ISO 9001. So when we look at the applicability of it, the beauty of ISO 9001 is that you can use it in any organization. So Rob was talking about automotive earlier. So it's equally as applicable in automotive as it is to a school, as it is to a bakery. It really doesn't matter what kind of industry that you're actually in. If we're looking at service industries, then it's going to help you to improve customer satisfaction, making sure that we've got these consistent processes in place, and also that we're standardized in the way that we're doing things. So one person isn't doing it this way and then another's doing it another way. It's also great for manufacturing efficiency. So it helps you to actually measure your processes and streamline your production so that you're reducing the defects that are being made and improving and enhancing that customer satisfaction, which will lead to this higher product quality. So it really is beneficial to any type of sector that you're in. It isn't just if you're in manufacturing. Something that's quite key to ISO 9001 is processes. So we look at processes in terms of an input. So what actually triggers a process to start? Perhaps if we're in a bakery, for example, it could be that we get a customer order. Then the chain of activities would be how we actually fulfill that order. And then the output would be the actual order itself going to the customer. So that's quite a simplified example, but your business will have many different processes in there. But it's important that we understand what the input is, what those chain of activities are and what the output is at the end. And we would also want to measure those processes and those outputs to see whether or not we have achieved what we set out to achieve in the first place. Another key part of ISO 9001 is managing risk. So it's looking at what kind of risks we have within our organisations, and they are within every organisation, and then take any action to eliminate or manage those risks effectively. One of the big things that we need to consider when we're looking at certification is whether or not our certification body is accredited. So accreditation is holding, being a member of IAF, so that's International Accreditation Forum, and you can actually go onto their website and see who the approved body is for your area. In terms of Guyana, there isn't actually a member, but IAAC is the Inter-American Accreditation Cooperation, and they are the people that actually look after the Guyana region. So the important thing about having an accredited certification body is that their work is checked. So somebody is checking on them and making sure that they are actually doing what they are supposed to be doing. And then once we have an accredited organisation, then they can actually provide certification to certification bodies so that they can actually issue certificates with this IAF logo on them. In the UK, it's UCAS. As I said, in your region, it would be IAAC, who are the local member of that. So looking at ISO 9001, it's a global quality management system. So if you are operational across the world, as well as in Guyana, then this would be applicable to every site within your company. Also, it requires you to meet customer and interested party requirements and any legal and statutory requirements as well. So why is it important to be certified? Well, it acts like a passport to us. So a lot of customers will actually mandate ISO 9001 as a minimum requirement. So you wouldn't be able to do business with them unless you have ISO 9001. And it's almost expected that it would be through an accredited organisation. So a certification body that has been accredited by the local IAF member. The beauty of this is it allows your processes to be standardized. It also promotes continual improvement throughout the organization, and it gives us fact-based decision making. So because we're actually monitoring and measuring things, then we can actually make these decisions based on fact because we know how we're actually performing as a business. And why would we not do it? Because these are really the costs of a poor quality system. So if we are not managing our quality system effectively, we might be subject to customer sanctions or penalties. There might be business disruptions, perhaps if we're not monitoring and managing our suppliers. Could be loss of reputation, reduced productivity, poor reputation as well. So that would also be another factor. You could have compensation claims, could be some sorting costs or additional inspection costs. Your customer might give you reduced opportunities to tender as well, and maybe some high scrap and rework costs could be a real tangible cost there as well. So looking at the benefits of having a good operational structure, we have these standardized processes. So as I said, everybody's working the same across the organization. So it's consistent, and we know when we pick up something that we're going to be able to understand it and be able to read it, because it's a standardized process and everybody is doing the same thing. So if we do make a mistake, then everybody is learning from that mistake and implementing corrective actions as a result. We've also got this framework that encourages ongoing improvements that help us to increase efficiency and help reduce operational errors. The other thing is that we've got these defined responsibilities and documented procedures. So this enables us to communicate more effectively and make people accountable for their part of the organisational performance. So when we look at the structure of ISO 9001, it's based on a plan, do, check, act. So basically we are planning what we are going to do, then we are doing it, then we're checking whether or not we've done it correctly, and then we're taking action if that isn't the case. And then it's an ongoing cycle that you can see there that it carries on. Now, the standard is laid out to meet those requirements. So you're looking at a little diagram that shows you how the standard is actually set out. So at the bottom, you've got the clauses. So we've got leadership, section 5, always at the heart of everything, or should be at the heart of everything. Going into section 6, which is your planning element of the standard. So this is looking at the risks in the business, how to address them, looking at objectives, targets, and how we're setting those. Then we go into the doing section. So that's 7 and 8. So section 7 tends to be your support structures. So it will be things like training, calibration, document control, all of those kind of things that are critical to our business. Section 8 is from cradle to grave of your processes. So it all starts in design, purchasing, sales, going all the way through to the dispatch of the product or the delivery of the actual service itself. Then you go into section 9, which is all about performance evaluation. This is the checking element of the standard. So this is where you would see things like internal audits, looking at monitoring and measuring of the processes, looking at things like management review as well. And then we go into section 10, which is improvement. And then this is where we're taking actions. So this is where you will have your corrective actions. This is where you have your continual improvement. So the standard is all about controlling your management system, your processes throughout their journey through your business. So everything is controlled. So it all starts with top management and strategic direction. So we need to have this strategy, this quality policy, objectives, and then we're deploying them throughout the organization. So we start with a quality policy that's setting out what is your business all about? What does it want to achieve? The quality objectives, KPIs, or key performance indicators, are how we're actually measuring whether or not we're meeting that. And we should have these plans in place to achieve the objectives as well, because nothing happens if we don't have a plan. And then finally, we're measuring performance against the objectives as part of the management review. And critical to all of this is employee awareness and communication. So making sure that they are aware of the direction that our business is going in. So how do we know it's working? Well, we have these quality objectives or key performance indicators at relevant functions within the quality management system. And these help us to keep track of improvements. And also we feed back on these in our management review meetings with our leadership team. So looking at who checks compliance, so whether or not our management system is compliant with ISO 9001, we've got internal audits. So those are undertaken by by your organisation. And as Fiesi was saying, or Rob was saying, Fiesi is the internal auditor for his business. So we have the internal audit. So we're checking to see whether or not we're doing what we're supposed to. We might have audits undertaken by customers. And then also these audits are undertaken by the certification body, so the accredited certification body. So these are the external bodies like BSI, for example, that Rob's company is actually registered with. So employees, what do they need to do? So they need to make sure that they understand and follow the defined processes and instructions. If they don't understand them, then they should be flagging this to the management and saying, I don't understand what I'm supposed to be doing here. And then we can do some training or coaching to help them with that. They should also be identifying any areas for improvement. So if they are thinking that there's a different way to do this that would make it more effective or efficient, then they should be flagging that to us, along with any potential issues so that we can address them before they get to our end customer. And also they need to be confident to explain what they do in any audit. And the best organisations that you go into are where the employees are really proud of what they're doing and they really want to tell you about their organisation and their processes and how good they are. So it's really important that we have some good training for ISO 9001. This makes sure that the team understand the requirements and quality management in general. And then this gives them a foundation for success in the future. The other thing is that standards are not written in plain English, to be honest. So sometimes it takes a little bit of skill to actually translate these very technical terms into very simple requirements. So the skilled trainer can help you to do that. So that reduces errors and compliance risks throughout the organisation. The other thing is that well-trained staff actually boost process efficiency, and this helps them to give us consistent products and services, which then in turn leads to greater customer satisfaction. So just in summary, ISO 9001 is applicable to all types of industry. Certification allows your business access to global markets. The accredited certification is a mark of trust and credibility, and expert training is a vital part of introducing a quality management system.
And thank you very much for that, Dawn. Incidentally, Dawn was the first person that we spoke to with regards to putting in place our management system when we originally did it. Because, and it is exactly what you mentioned earlier, the management system, when you look at it as a standard, as a document, has language in there. It is English, but it's not. It's not business speak. Like the way how you would describe certain things is not the same type of language that is used. And therefore, you almost need someone to help to train you in order to be able to translate what that thing that document is saying, and then help you figure out how you can apply that to your business. Now, training is one aspect which will tell you about this is what the standard says and this is what you need to be compliant with. But consultancy is actually then taking it that step further to say, well, now you're trained and you know what the standard is requiring. This is how you will apply it in your organization, right? And take you through the steps to being able to do that. And someone who knows all about this is Candice, right? Candice, because you had to go through all of this with the real world implementation.
Yes. Guysons know the journey of becoming ISO certified. It wasn't an easy journey, but it was a worthwhile journey. And we are in our third recertification period.
Excellent.
So it
Um,
was definitely worth it.
yeah. So, I just wanted to mention again for those of you who may have joined subsequently while the webinar has been taking place that unfortunately Faisal's not able to make it. Faisal is the CEO of Guyson Oil and Gas, and he's also the British Chamber of Commerce CEO as well. But he's had to attend another meeting, I think, with ExxonMobil. So, but Gysons have had, like you said, Candice, have had a tremendous journey. Can you tell us a little bit more about, about the company and how it all kind of got started?
Yes, Gysons would have started in 1992 under Gysons Engineering, founded by Mr. Farmer, Mr. Katskan, who would have passed a few years ago. And then we branched off into Gysons Oil and Gas and Logistics Services in 2017. And we would have continued along the line then into 2020 with Gysons KNB, leading up to where we are right now. However, our at the beginning in 2018 for our first ISO certification, we would have started with Gysons Oil and Gas and Gysons Engineering to have one certification that governs the two companies because our processes, they're two separate companies, but their processes plays into each other, which supports what each other does. What Gysons Engineering supports mostly our local industries, that is our engine repair services such as blocks, heads, crankshafts, etc., and our Gysons oil and gas services, which caters fully to the oil and gas industry, Exxon, and their contract, their tier ones contractors by providing welding and fabrication services, procurement services, maintenance, repair, overall services, etc. So we offer a bit to the Guyana economy.
Yeah, I bet. And I mean, that's grown organically over a number of years as well. So
Yes.
your management system has had to kind of like adopt and basically integrate new business um, functions, I guess, into the entire scope of what it does, right?
Correct. And
Yeah.
it's having a quality management system, you're continuously improving. The standard allows you to capture and assess those risks and opportunities that is out there. So your company doesn't remain stagnant. It's forever it's growing because it forces you to look for those opportunities that you may not have been looking for in order to see, what there's a market out there and I can capitalize on it.
Right. So tell me about the initial journey with the Exxon Mobil cohort background.
Well, initially, when oil and gas became a big thing in Guyana, um, Gysons would have partnered with the CLBD, which is a sponsored resource center for small, medium enterprises in Guyana, sponsored by Exxon, which provides that support in terms of understanding quality, HSC, Exxon requirements to become a supplier, etc. And they give you that guidance along the way in order to meet requirements. So Guysons Oil and Gas, which was created for the oil and gas industry, we decided to approach the center and to go through that period for oil, the ISO implementation, the 9001 implementation. The CLBD was our partner
Hmm.
for that journey.
Okay.
As Don would have rightfully said, understanding the requirements of ISO 9001, if you're new to it, it's kind of confusing because everything is not in business terms, although it's a standard that can be applied to any business industry. So you need that guidance and support. And the CLBD, the Center for Local Business Development, was our partner for that journey.
All right. And the initial, I suppose the overwhelming driver was to be able to access this, new
Correct.
burgeoning oil and gas market.
Gyson's first reason to become ISO 9001 was because of access to the oil and gas market. A requirement by Exxon and their contractors is to be ISO certified. At minimum, some of them may ask for a compliance system, which the journey becomes a little more tedious. So it's
Right.
for more market access, also for to be more competitive with the industry. With
Hmm.
oil and gas being new to Guyana, they were they are regional and international companies offering services in Guyana. So Guysons becoming the first Guyanese owned machine shop to become ISO 9001 certified allowed us to compete in that market with any regional or international supplier.
Got it. Got it.
Also, it allowed us to be, it seemed, give us a chance to improve on our operations, become more efficient. We had to critically look at our processes. As was mentioned earlier, it's standardization of our processes and procedures, and it bring it all in together so we could have eliminated some of those the steps that we were doing that was not offering us any efficiency, costing us more time, more resources, more money, etc.
Yeah.
And of course, the third biggest one would be ISO is internationally recognized.
Mm,
You know,
yeah.
having that mark and that recognition is a great advantage to companies, especially Guyanese companies.
Mm,
It's trusted and tested. So once you have that credibility, it opens a whole host of markets to
yeah. Yeah.
organizations.
And I can't imagine at the point that you guys were doing it that there was, well, not many because you were probably like the initial cohort, right?
Correct. Yes, we were. And as a machine shop, having that recognition, of course, because persons would have thought, why would a machine shop need to be ISO recognized? Why do you need to do this? Why do you need to do that?
Mm,
So that added credibility to our work,
hmm.
particularly for the industry that we now serve and the type of work that we do.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
So
Yeah.
we would have branched off from more than just being a machine shop.
And that's really wonderful to hear because I mean, like you said, you've grown it organically, but this standard has effectively helped you to develop other, like, I guess explore new markets,
Correct.
and new business areas that you could have gone into, which ordinarily you might not have chosen to because you might have felt that you didn't have
True.
those things to be able to access it. It's a really great story. So tell me a little bit about, like, the implementation process and so on, because I'm sure it must have been something that was very, very well. It would have been alien, effectively, like something completely brand new. How tell me how, what maybe some of what the teething problems were. What were the initial challenges? You know, what kind of learning curve you had to go through?
The implementation process entailed a few steps, as I said earlier. The implementation of the management system was the hardest part of it.
Hmm.
It was honestly the hardest part because, of course, that brought about many changes in terms of both in the organization, from leadership among our staff and to our customers. Um, it entailed familiarization and understanding first of the standard, getting
Hmm.
to know what ISO is about, what are those clause requirements, etc., and understanding the terminologies that is applicable in the standard, developing our implementation plan, and of course, forming our implementation team, identifying the scope of our management system at the time.
Yeah, yeah. And I think those are, don't you know those implementation teething troubles all too well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody struggles with where to start, and I think we ended up with a big piece of paper, didn't we? And we just started drawing things on a piece of paper and like moving things around and saying, right, okay, let's start there. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's the hardest thing, just starting off, I think.
Correct.
yeah.
And also doing a gap analysis of the organization,
Yeah.
in after understanding what are the requirements of the ISO 9001 standard. Now look internally. Okay, do we have, does our documentation, our records, our processes and procedures allow us to meet the requirements of the standard? And where there were gaps, we had to action them with corrective measures in order to meet those requirements. Then, of course, documentation, you cannot run from that. In ISO 9001, it's a major aspect of the standard. We had to develop a document control system for
Mm,
all of our processes and procedures, our records, and documentation that will be necessary for compliance, not only to the standard, but also for customer requirements, governmental agencies, and company requirements.
yeah,
All of
yeah.
those our documentation has to meet. Some of them will be able to cross over to each to help you fulfill those requirements. And then the big the meat of it all, the implementation of the plan that you put together, utilizing the plan, do, check, act cycle. Now all of the processes and the procedures, put them into place, monitor them for compliance. And of that definitely wasn't an easy journey. Um, because our staff now with adapting to all of these changes at once, but you had some pushback, but then training, conversation, having them included in the process
Yeah,
could not
yeah,
have been left out. While
yeah.
we were developing these procedures, we have some staff here with us has been with Guysons from since 1992.
Mm,
So we had to get those people on board to guide us through this journey. Although our processes and procedures were not written, it could not have been that the consultant or the implementation team sit in isolation and draft our procedures. We
mm,
had to have our ground hands-on staff involved in that process in order to capture everything that the company was about for efficiency.
yeah, yeah.
And then we went through our auditing periods, which is comprise our internal auditing, find where those gaps are, correct them. We had our management review, which involves again management coming to the board, our middle management also, and we verified, you know, this is what we did correctly, this is what we did incorrectly, this is where we need improvement, this is where we need additional resources.
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
the journey would have completed. And then we went to our surveillance, our first external audit, because audit um, for certification takes two parts. A first surveillance audit, where they do a review of the system, and then they will identify any corrective action that needs to be taken where your organization did not meet the requirements of the standard. And then you put those corrections into place based on recommendations, and then they return back within a certain period to see
Mm.
how effective were those recommendations taken.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, of course, we were recommended, after satisfying all the requirements and criteria, we were recommended for certification, which all of that now was taken to the international body to, review Guyson system all over again. And are they worthy to have that brand to be an ISO certified company?
Yeah. Yeah. And people think when they see that badge that it happens like next week.
It's not an overnight process, and
Mm.
it's not a start and end process. It's a
Mm.
continuous process, because although you gain that certification one time, you need to maintain it.
That's correct. And I mean, we've done our recertification with BSI, and you know, um, thankfully we had in place a lot of different sort of systems and softwares and whatnot that we developed ourselves internally. But that in itself takes time to figure out. It takes time to figure out how it needs to apply to your business and how you then tailor that management system so that it works for you. Um, and it was so wonderful to hear what you were saying as well about how your people that were there, who were there for the very longest periods of time.
Yes.
Sorry, my light switches on and off if I don't move around in the office. Um, it's not blackout, promise you. Um, so yes, it's really wonderful to hear that they were part of the consultation process in figuring out how the management system procedures and processes would be put in place, because I think all too often sometimes you might get an initial idea, and it's usually from leadership that might say, well, look, we want to go target this market and therefore we need to get this management system, put it in place, etc. And then they might try and come up with something, but if you don't get the buy-in of people in the organization, and that means everybody, then it's not going to be adopted. You're not going to be successful in putting in that system in place. So it's really great to hear that.
Correct. Buy-in with everyone from top management, middle management, and our ground operational staff. Buy-in is very critical,
Yeah.
because the top, as you said, can think of the plan, the middle can develop the plan, but then it's the bottom that needs to execute that plan.
Hmm.
And if
Yeah.
they do not understand it, or they do not want to adopt to it, then it we our customers will be dissatisfied in the end, and the system would not achieve its objectives.
Yeah. Yeah. And then once you've got everybody bought into it, and you got to keep it consistent, right? And I
Correct.
suppose the benefit is the prize that you get at the end, which is I know it's a piece of paper or it's a PDF nowadays, but it's yeah, it is definitely a stamp that says that this thing, uh, your business meets the requirements of this internationally recognized standard that says your business is delivering quality, right?
Correct. That's the direct price that you can see, but the indirect price that we may not see at the beginning is the increased business, the
Mm,
increased opportunities that will be out there,
yeah, yeah.
and
And
the new markets.
yeah, a lot of people look at it specifically like, as a cost as well. And I mean, everybody has to. There's no
It is a
denying that
cost.
it is a cost to the business to put in. And sometimes people just think, it might just be like, oh, well, we sell stuff, we make stuff. Why can we not, why do we need this thing? But yeah, this thing proves that you're doing it correctly, properly, consistently, and trying to be better all the time, right?
Correct. And with oil and gas, even if before oil and gas, ISO 9001 was not a thing in Guyana,
Mm,
but because of oil and gas and the dynamic, fast paced industry that it is, and risky at the same time,
mm,
operators, Exxon, and the cohorts are heavily focused on on quality management because it can have dire consequences
mm,
with
Yeah.
mm,
poor quality products. So they are consistent in what they expect from suppliers.
mm, mm. And Dawn, you kind of see this as well, playing out now with quality management, but also in the automotive industry as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's totally key. You know, the the OEMs, the car manufacturers, they're demanding it. And they want it to flow down through the supply chain as well. Because I mean, the other thing that we talk about is the compliance element, but also there's the efficiency. So if you are putting in management systems and doing them consistently, correctly, then you are driving better efficiencies in your processes. So although we do have the on cost of it, that should hopefully be cancelled out by the better efficiencies that you've got with your processes and making everything a little bit leaner.
Mm,
So
mhm.
Definitely.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay. So just quickly touch on this because I know this was mostly like Faisal's bit here, but what can you tell me a little bit about like the strategic leadership and so on that needed to take place in order to make sure that this was adopted and implemented throughout your organization?
Yes, management in terms of their strategic leadership is involved in determining the direction of the company through our quality objectives and our KPIs. That sets the entire tone for the year,
Mm,
what the company is aiming to achieve. And we draft the plan in terms of resources that is needed, and it includes both people, processes, equipment, and the environment that we operate in.
mm, mm,
So management is heavily involved in our management system because with their support, it trickles down.
got
If
it.
management is not enforcing compliance, we won't get our staff to be compliant to the system that we have.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're
So they play.
central, aren't they? They've got to be central to everything.
Yes,
Mm,
they
Yeah.
are. And that includes assessing the risk and opportunities out there, our quality policy, communicating it,
mm,
assigning roles and responsibilities, and holding each and every person in the organization accountable for what value that we bring and add to Guysons.
mm. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Sounds all too familiar. And yeah, like this is exactly what needs to happen. Um, so just to kind of wrap up this particular section here, Gysons is a wonderful
Yes,
company. Um, Please, if you are interested in finding out more about them, then do check out their website. If you want to talk to anybody and their sales team, their email address is up here. And of course, there's a QR code, which will take you straight to their website. And on top of that, there's their address and phone number there. So yeah, and you can also take a look at Candice on her LinkedIn, or I know kind of potentially use a lot more Facebook as well. So if you need to go and find out some more information or want to talk to her directly, I'm sure you can reach out to them, and she'd be more than obliged to to help you in any way, if you need to understand a little bit more about working in that particular industry.
yes.
Thank you very much, Candice. And now we're going to bring to the stage Fiaizi Baksh. So, Fiaizi,
Hello. Yes.
um, And Fiaz is going to tell you a little bit more about um, our journey that we undertook with our business in terms of building out our ISO 9001 management system.
Yes, thank you. Well, hi everyone. I am Fiasi, the cloud architect at Guysons Group, as well as technical lead at Guyana Business. We've heard already about what ISO 9001 entails and how it was implemented into a business, a Guyanese business, to work for them. But now I'll be sharing about how our company built and implemented a bespoke ISO 9001 management system to help manage operations across our companies and ensure that we satisfy our certification needs. Yeah. So, before implementing our management system, we faced the common challenges. So, processes were inconsistent, objectives were not properly monitored, and then there was a tad bit of chaos when it came to finding documentation for our audits. And I'm sure some of these are relatable for anyone having to manage your ISO systems. But we use these gaps and we use them as a roadmap for our system. So, as was mentioned earlier, we pulled out a giant piece of paper one day and we just sat there with the help of Dawn and we analyzed our entire business scope. We mapped out all of our business processes, see how they would tie into each other, and then just map everything out on that piece of paper. And from there, that led us to developing a centralized ISO aligned system that helped us to connect everything. So, from process tracking to audit readiness, everything all in one place. Next slide, please. Yeah. So, what exactly did we build? We built a structured yet flexible management system that is tailored to ISO 9001 for us. So, we started off by defining our quality management system scope or QMS scope, including any exclusions to the system. And then we went ahead and set smart quality objective tied to business goals. The other bit is every process that we have or that we mapped out, they're linked to tools, they're assigned to owners, and they're mapped to the ISO requirements in a live requirements register. Our audits and nonconformities, they are also tracked all in one place, and we've set up clear roles and responsibilities for top management and the entire team. Now, it's a system that is designed to work with our team, not just for certification, but to work for our business needs. Next slide. Yeah. So one of the parts we've heavily focused on is quality objectives, and we've aligned them with our strategic goals across four key areas: revenue, people, process, and tech. Now, each one is clearly defined using SMART criteria, and the SMART criteria is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Now, each objective, we ensure it's assigned to owners, it's tracked monthly, and it's visible to everyone within the organization. And the screenshot that you see here is just sample data of how each quality objective would be structured and then thereafter broken down into documenting the relevant information. Now, this ensures that our quality objectives are measured and monitored to help satisfy our ISO 9001 compliance and achieve our business goals. Another key feature is our business processes. Now, as I said, we mapped out each of our core business processes and linked them to the relevant documentation. Each process is also tagged to the relevant ISO clause, which ensures traceability and it makes our audits far easier. And then everything is organized by function, making it simple for use by all departments and team members. And the screenshot that you're able to see here, on the left side, we mapped out our business processes. And then on the right side, those are some of our relevant documentation. So our system has a lot more features, and we would be here all day if I were to continue. But some other bits are just that it helps us to schedule and track our audits, manage nonconformities and OFIs, which are opportunities for improvement, and then ensure data access control, ensure secure data access control, and then above all, ensuring we keep information secure, updated, and of course, compliant. So why does it matter? Well, when you're ISO certified, there will be a number of audits. So you'll have your certification, you'll have your surveillance, as well as multiple internal audits. Now, this system can help you to be ready for those audits. It's a solution, a digital solution that can help you to save time, improve accountability, and ensure your entire team is aligned. And of course, it sets the foundation for continual improvement. So that's it for ISO 9001 management systems. Next slide. Yeah, so since we're on the topic of systems and building them to make, your business easier, here's one of our products from GuyanaBusiness.com, which is our Guyana Business Community app.
Hi, Fiazi. Just to let you know, there is a little bit of background noise, and I'm not sure what it might be.
Oh,
So
that would be the wonderful rain.
the rain.
Yes, it's
Oh
a
my
very nice rain.
goodness. Oh my goodness. I didn't realize that it was so. Sounds like a deluge in
Yeah,
Guyana right now.
just decided to make an appearance.
Okay, nothing we can do about that then.
Yeah, so don't worry, I only have like 2 minutes left to talk about this app. Next slide, please. Yeah, so the Guyana Business Community app, it's a platform that brings together everything that you would need to do business in Guyana. And our app is here to help you find opportunities, connect with others, and grow your business. Now, one of our most used features is the bids and contracts section, which is updated weekly, sometimes even daily, with contracts from the government and private sector. Now, you'll find contracts across key industries, including oil and gas, construction, ICT, business consultancy, and so much more. So you can see a couple of screenshots here. This is what it looks like once you're inside of the app. It's very easy to use, mobile friendly, and full of useful data. Now, to get access, just scan that QR code on the screen and sign up, and then you'll get access. You'll get full access details by email within 24 hours. Next slide. So the app offers a lot more than just bids. It's a full business platform. So we also have a companies directory where you can search and connect with registered businesses, including local content suppliers. And this is super useful if you're trying to meet compliance requirements for oil and gas projects. We also have property listings from from Guyana Estate. So whether it's your next office or your next commercial space or just a short-term rental for a business trip, it's there via Guyana Estate. And as you can see from these screenshots, just a glimpse of those features I just mentioned. Next slide, please. Another key feature is our notice board. Here you'll find community announcements, business news, and updates. And you can also access some discounts and promotional offers. I know everyone likes a good discount. Another feature we have that was lately released as well is our live business news feed. So here you'll be able to stay up to date as to what's happening in Guyana. And it's all from reliable sources, all in one place. So fresh news on what's happening in Guyana every day. Next slide, please. Good. So why should you be using this app? Well, other than all the features I've just told you, this app is built for the Guyanese market, meaning it's tailored for your local needs. You get access to early bids, contracts, opportunities. You can even promote your services, and connect with others. So it helps with business visibility. And then you can stay informed on business news as well as key industry trends. And best of all, the content, the app, it is completely free. So we built this app to help you and, of course, to help your business. So just take a moment, scan that QR code once again, and get your access today. And then if you have any questions or you just want to learn more about the app, then just send us an email. It's right there, appsupport@GuyanaBusiness.com. And yeah, that's it for me, and I'll see you in the app.
Thank you very much, VIZ. I'm going to bring back on the stage now Dawn and also Candice. So, yeah, Candice, my God, that rain, incredible.
Yes, it is. Kind is full of surprises. And the rain is one of them.
um, but coming to pull it back into this, so some key takeaways from today, and I just want to make sure that and to also find out a little bit more about your thoughts on it, is that um, you know definitely use this ISO 9001 management system so that it will help you gain. You've even said it, market access, but
Correct.
also driving that operational efficiency that you really need in your business. And yes, it may be a cost initially, but over time it's going to pay for itself, right?
Correct. That is so true.
Yeah.
It opens new markets that you can capitalize on, and it balances out the cost. Eventually, it becomes worth it.
Yeah. And then there's also, do make sure that you improve your leadership and business with training, because it's really, really key that everybody understands from the top all the way through the business exactly how this thing is going to help improve it.
Correct. Training and communication is a major part of having a management system. It doesn't work in isolation, even if we do have somebody like myself who manages the system. It
Mm,
has to be communicated and understood throughout the organization, and that is achieved through training. And as Don would have rightly said, properly trained employees perform to the maximum abilities.
yeah, definitely. Um, so, the other thing as well is that please spend as much time looking for additional support. There's plenty of great video content which is available online. You could utilize your favorite AI tool as well, potentially to help with certain aspects. But there is no kind of, should we say, um, uh, better way to learn than getting it from somebody who knows about management systems directly, and then potentially also getting some consultation on how it would apply in your business, because you need that level of translation to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you, if you're buying something that's kind of bespoke in some respects, you you need somebody that's going to understand your business, and kind of that's quite key with both the app and consultancy as well, that they are applying it directly to your business and not just something off the shelf that that everybody has got, because you're trying to push your processes into that. So
Mm. And definitely as well also use accredited certification bodies for certification, right? That's a big, you should do it.
Y- Yes, it is, because it costs, and of course you must be able to. It is only due diligence that you have it from an accredited body.
Mm,
It will
mm.
be useless that you spend all of that money and resources and the time, and then at the end of the day, it's not worth anything.
Yeah, your certification is on, a like you said, a piece of paper which doesn't have the provenance and the credibility to pass muster with accessing uh, a market, an oil and gas customer, like, say, for example, Exxon.
Correct.
So we've also got some key takeaways as well. So do not take consultation and training from providers who guarantee success. because nobody can really. I think that's the other thing. That's, you know, anybody who says
Totally.
that, selling you some snake oil, right? Um, yeah, and we've yeah, also, you know, myself and Dawn, we've worked at British Standards, and we've seen many companies come back, you know, especially even to companies like BSI, and said, look, we wasted all this money on this thing, and then with some other provider, and it just was not worth it.
No.
The other thing as well is, do not claim to have met compliance with ISO standards without certification. There are companies out there that do sometimes say, oh yes, we're compliant with it, but you have to, you're compliant, but who says you're compliant? You said it. It isn't certified, so it's not worth it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And I think also the next one is also, do not use a non-accredited certification body for certification. I think we just covered that just now. Also, do not use a certification body who provides consultancy, right, as well as then saying that they're going to certify, because that is marking your own homework, right?
Yeah.
And actually there's a governing standard for this, which is 17021, and that completely prohibits this practice. And you know, it covers off the principles and requirements for competence, consistency, but more importantly, the impartiality as well of the bodies that provide audit and certification globally. So one of the biggest ones is to make sure that, and I know, in, like, for example, in the UK, Dawn, I think you might have mentioned this right at the beginning, that UCAS is the governing body for, you know, CBs that are based in the UK, and in the US it's ANAB. And if you look carefully at our certificate, it has those marks, those logos inside there. So carefully examine the certificates of anybody who's purporting to have met compliance with ISO 9001.
Yeah, it's also got IAF on there, which is the really important one. So that shows that it's an IAF member that's accredited it. So yeah.
Okay. And I guess to kind of wrap everything up as well, you know, we're here to help at GuyanaBusiness.com with management system services. So if you are looking to find out more information about consultancy, or in fact training to management systems, and it's not just restricted to ISO 9001, it could be for quality, health and safety, environmental, information security, and other standards which are certified, please do contact us. We're here to help provide that level of information in the form of either training and consultancy, as well as with things like software that you know, you've seen how we do it with our management system here. And don't forget, we passed our management system with British standards, with 0 non-conformities and 0 OFIs, opportunities for improvement. So we not only say we're doing it, but we do it, and somebody else says we do it properly as well. So if you're interested in contacting us for any of these kind of services, please do click on the request a quote, which is on our website. If you also scan the QR code, the information's all there as well, and just reach out to us. And I guess that's it. So thank you very much for all of those of you who've attended the webinar today, and for those of you who are going to be watching it on demand and on playback later on, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and any of our other social media outlets. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.